I'm setting out on a personal odyssey.
You see, I was born in Wales, but brought up in Essex. And now, I'm coming back. I want to get to grips with a wonderful, a magical, a remarkable country, Wales.
To uncover the true spirit of Wales and the Welsh, I'm given some guidance by a hidden hand.
Your quest today is to find the Holy Grail.
With each new adventure, I'm set a challenge to test my Celtic credentials.
And I found it. The Snowdon Lily.
Today, I'm going into Anglesey, Wales's largest island. Its rich and fertile landscape earned it the nickname the breadbasket of Wales. I'm starting my adventure in the Menai Strait. This fast-moving channel of water separates Anglesey from the mainland, and right in the middle is the tiny island of Ynysgorod Goch. It may seem an odd place to spend the night, let alone actually live. But when it comes to catching fish, the island once provided a constant harvest.
The whole house is like a boat.
But it's a boat that never goes anywhere.
Morning, Peter.
Good morning, Griff.
This is the fish trap, is it?
This is it.
Extraordinary. I was expecting some sort of little sort of net.
Well, it's a big structure.
How does it work?
There's a narrow bit at the back.
Yeah.
And the fish all get swept in on the tide.
Right.
And there are slats at the back. When the fish come over those, they can't get back out again.
How long has this fish trap been in this place, then?
It's been here about 400 years. The first licence was issued by the Bishop of Bangor in 1590.
Well, what sort of tonnage of fish do you catch in here on a good day, then?
It has caught on its day 30,000 herrings in one tide.
30,000 herrings in one tide. I can't help noticing, actually, that you've caught something else in your fish trap down here. Do you get a lot of messages in bottles?
Not too many.
All right. Oh, I got it. Got it. Yeah. Ah. Here we are. Let's put that down. Have a look here. Ah. Good morning, Griff. Don't leave here without enjoying the most heartwarming sight in Wales. Your quest today is to find a puffin.
So, that's my challenge. To find a puffin. It's a pity it's not an oyster catcher. They breed here, a few feet from the kitchen door. My search for a puffin is likely to lead me around much of Anglesey's spectacular 125 miles of coastline. I can't wait. I mustn't wait.
Morning, Griff.
Peter, thank you very much.
Lovely to meet you.
I'm on my way to find a puffin. You're going to Puffin Island, are you?
Yes, that's
Good.
right.
Okay.
Anglesey is one of only 2 places in the world where there's a puffin island. The other's in Iceland, where the puffin is regarded as a delicacy, although that might not be entirely appropriate. Puffin Island is on the tourist trail, so I'm joining an excursion boat to take a trip round the bay. Opened in 1826, Thomas Telford's Menai Bridge was built as part of the road linking London with Dublin. Anglesey was simply a stepping stone to Ireland via the ferry. But the locals were rewarded with a fabulous bridge.
It was one of the earliest suspension bridges ever built, large suspension bridges ever built, and was the pattern which was used in New York and all over the world, and the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a really important historic bridge, a fantastic thing.
The northern end of the Menai Strait is almost 5 miles wide. Lying off the easternmost tip is what we've come to see, Puffin Island. At one time, there was a monastic settlement here, but now the island is uninhabited. By monks, anyway. It seems I'm the only one on the boat who has any interest in puffins.
I assume puffin are quite small, are they?
Very small. Well, on the ledge up there.
Yeah.
Just up there, we've got guillemots.
Well, the guillemots, are they the blackbirds up there?
No,
those are...
no, they're cormorants.
They're
We've got
cormorants, yes, I can see the cormorants.
Well,
Oh, those
there,
ones there,
yeah.
on the ledge.
Yes, they're guillemots. The one flying across in front of us, that's a razorbill. It's a bit darker than
I see it
the
there,
guillemot.
there it goes, look.
There we are. And it's got a little white streak on its bill.
Yeah,
A
look
little
at
red
that
leg.
guy go across, but it's not a puffin, is it? What sort of an island is it to call itself Puffin Island and not have a puffin on it? It's got every other conceivable form of seabird has congregated here, but not a puffin.
Charles the boatman tells me that actually thousands of puffins used to live here, but at the end of the 19th century, a colony of shipwrecked brown rats came ashore and ate the lot. Perhaps they were on passage from Iceland. Retreating back down the Menai Strait, we come to Beaumaris. It was built as one of the iron ring of castles around North Wales by the English monarch Edward I to control those pesky Welsh. With its ingenious and perfectly symmetrical concentric walls within walls design, Beaumaris has been called the most technically perfect castle in Britain. And the town looks the kind of place I might find out more about local puffin sightings.
Do you have any books on bird watching or anything like that?
We've got a magazine.
Look at this.
Third shelf down.
Tractor and machinery. Very tempting. Third down. Here we are. And look what's on the cover. This is a very tourist area, Beaumaris.
It is. Beaumaris is more than anywhere.
Beaumaris.
Beaumaris.
I keep calling it Beaumaris in the French way. Do you speak Welsh?
Yes, I do. Siarad Cymraeg and do.
The only Welsh I ever heard regularly was Bach, because when I was very naughty, my father would say, "Oh, Griffith, Bach." I always thought Bach meant darling. You see, that's how...
Bach is small.
Does it? Right.
Yeah.
OK. Oh, small Griffith. Wonder what he meant by that.
Beaumaris is a delightful place for sure, but it's devoid of puffins, big or Bach. My bird magazine has told me I might find them at South Stag. It's on the coast, but round the other side of the island. So I need to get on. Apparently, the puffins are only there for 4 months of the year. The Menai Strait has some of the freshest, saltiest seawater you'll find in the British Isles. It's flushed twice daily by the Gulf Stream, and that's the reason this man, David Lee Wilson, is stood knee-deep in it.
You're testing the water, are you?
I'm actually using a very simple handheld device to see how much salt there is in the seawater.
Every day, David checks the salt content of the Menai Strait, and that's because it happens to be his raw material. He runs Hallen Moan, one of the smallest but most highly regarded salt makers in the country.
You can see the water is clean, it's pure, it's just beautiful.
And you take the water
Yep.
out of here
We pump
and
it.
somewhere up here.
Yep. And in fact, do you want to come and see?
Salt manufacture is one of the oldest occupations on the planet. It can be traced back to 6050 BC, exactly the number of health and safety restrictions that now apply to its manufacture.
I'm just following William to look at the salt and see how it's made, and this isn't a hairnet, it's a beard snood to stop bits of my beard falling into the salt, because the salt has to be very pure. That's the whole idea.
It's like a giant's chemistry set. Salt water comes in from the sea, it gets boiled and boiled until the salt content gets so high that crystals form. Then it's time to collect the pure and perfect sea salt.
Let's have a look at what you get. Wow. I won't touch them because I know that there are purity issues here, but what you're talking about is fantastic. Pure, like snow. Snow and ice.
These extraordinary crystals change hands for more than 30 times the cost of standard salt. But the texture of the white flakes and the intensity of the flavour are such that condiment connoisseurs don't mind the extra. In exchange for my becoming a salt snob, David Lee Wilson offers me a lift, as long as he can introduce me to the fabulous flora and fauna of the Anglesey hedgerows.
You're here at a great time of year. The cow parsley is just beginning to come up, and we've got lots of early purple orchids in the lanes around here, and you can appreciate them at this speed.
Anglesey has such a rich and diverse range of wildlife that there are no less than 62 sites of special scientific interest spread around this island. The average hedgerow is a sweet shop of botanical goodies. But it's puffins I'm looking for, not flowers. Well, I could be in the middle of the American Midwest, but I'm not. I'm in Anglesey, and I couldn't resist a peek at one of the most eccentric attractions on the island. Tacla Taid is a nostalgic wonderland of barely remembered logos, seductive curves, stylish grills, and truly distinctive rear ends. And rather scarily, I spot something from my own youth. My father's car. But all this fades away in my rear view mirror when I mount the stairs. Tractor heaven.
How are you?
There is nothing proprietor Arvin Williams doesn't know about tractors.
Now, as it happens, I have a confession to make. I bought myself a Massey Ferguson a long time ago, and this is the one, I think.
There's a TA petrol paraffin, this one.
Is it?
About 1956, 57.
All right, well, mine's a diesel, 1963.
You got a Massey Ferguson 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I stand corrected.
Is this the series one over here?
This region is actually famous for another off-road vehicle. The Land Rover was conceived here in Anglesey in 1947, and Arvin has one of the very first models ever built.
So how many of these original Series 1 did they make?
My God, there's about 500,000, wasn't there? Plus, I think 90% of them are still going around the world. It's reliable, it's a bone shaker, it's drafty, but it's a Land Rover.
Does this one goes, does it?
Of course it does. Hang on a bit. That's it. Okay.
Based on the American Jeep, the Land Rover owes its existence to the rugged landscape of Anglesey.
Has that got into second?
Of course it does.
Good. I don't seem to have a mirror, so I'm going to look behind me. Whoa! I'm looking for an indicator. Is there an indicator? Oh, there is. Oh, good.
Now, the only downside to the old Land Rover is that it actually doesn't go very fast.
We'll be able to take a wild bicycle now.
60 years on, and more than 4 million vehicles later, the Land Rover is one of the most successful modes of transport ever designed. But I've come to see one of the most extraordinary sights on Anglesey.
It was a good ride.
St. Coivan's Church is at least 800 years old, and the fact that it's still standing is its most notable feature. When it was first built, it was on the mainland of Anglesey. It's a short distance from Aberfraw, then the bustling medieval capital of North Wales. Over the centuries, the capital moved elsewhere, but so did the land. The shore eroded so badly that by the end of the 19th century, all that was left was a little oval island, and on top of that, a church. So up went a rugged seawall to prevent the land and the graves in the church from being washed away. By the 20th century, modern conservationists decided that the best way to protect this ancient building was an ancient technique. They lime-washed the walls. Yes, that's me joining the decorating team. Lime is weird and dangerous, hence the health and safety. Lime wash would almost certainly have protected these walls when they were first built 8 centuries ago. This church has come full circle. St. Coifan's ancient walls are a monument to a modern Anglesey and demonstrate that previous times here are as valued as present ones. I'm still almost 20 miles from South Stack, where I hope to spot a puffin. But I've joined up with a local cycling team who are heading in that general direction.
We've just left Aberfrau. I'm on my way to Llanfeusant. And I'm going there to visit a mill now. Because Anglesey is known as Mam Cymru, the mother of Wales, the breadbasket of Wales. And this whole great stretch of farmland here was once responsible for providing all the wheat and corn that fed the whole of North Wales.
There were once more than 50 windmills scattered over Anglesey's higher ground. Now there's only one in working order in the whole of Wales. Llannon Mill was built in 1775 for the sum of £550. In those days, that was a lot of bread to make bread, and a reminder of the importance placed in the simple act of milling wheat into flour. Cloyd Jones the miller has promised to take me on the final grind to South Stag. But first, I've got to help him secure the mill for the night. One of our important tasks is to tie up the sails. Otherwise, the mill might start turning again and cause damage.
So you stand further back.
Yeah.
And give it a good swing.
All right. I can see this is a knack, isn't it?
That's it.
It's the miller's knack.
Miller's knack, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Back in 1820, there were anything up to 10,000 windmills across Britain. We think wind power is a modern invention.
Oh, nearly. Go on. That's it.
Oh, I get that idea.
That's it.
Yes! Yes!
Having finally and rather unconvincingly passed my initiation test, I'm invited to share the view from the top of the mill. I've heard that you can see South Stack from here. We're that close.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, good.
So you're looking at Anglesey now in its best, really. So you can see all of Anglesey.
Right.
So you can just see Holyhead there. We want to go just the other side of that, and that's where the puffins are.
And you think we'll see puffins?
We'll see puffins, yes.
Anglesey is the 5th windiest place in the United Kingdom, and I suspect Cloyd's Mill is the windiest spot in Anglesey, because over on the next hill is the liveliest wind farm I've ever seen. I'm not sure that the modern wind turbine is a patch on their 18th century cousins, though. Give me a proper windmill any time. South Stack is actually an island off the easternmost tip of an island. For ships sailing from Dublin to Anglesey through fog, the treacherous rocks beneath South Stack could spell disaster, which is why in 1809 a 91-foot lighthouse was built. 412 steps take you down to the bottom of the cliff. Until 1828, when they built the bridge, the only means of crossing to the island was in a basket suspended on a cable in a state of abject terror. There are supposedly 4,000 nesting birds on these cliffs. Cloyd tells me just 8 puffins have been spotted this year. So, where are they?
Do you know, I don't really care if I don't see a puffin. This is incredible. This is like being in the Galapagos Islands. Gulls just sitting on eggs all around me.
Keepers manned this lighthouse until 1984. Then it went automatic. Now it's controlled by a computer in Harwich, 360 miles away. Is this an entirely fruitless journey? Luckily, there's a tour guide to light my way.
Hello there.
Hello.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My name's Martin.
Martin, nice to meet you. Now, you know, the reason I've come here is to find a puffin.
A puffin?
I've been looking all day unsuccessfully.
Well, I'm afraid you won't find them on the island, but if you make your way back, when you're ascending the steps to the first bend there, where the large rock is, that's where we have our puffins.
My legs!
This must be the place. In sheer desperation, I managed to persuade someone to lend me a pair of binoculars. But will I see anything?
It's just sat down, you can just...
Oh, gracious, wait. I'm looking at one of the only 8 identified puffins this season here on South Stag. Busy at his daily duties. Sweet. This is my puffin moment.
Next time, I scour mid-Wales for the lost land of Cantry Gwaelod. Along the way, I strike gold and trampoline on a river.
Nick decides it's time to have a quiet word with Cal as we head back to Coronation Street next. Then at 9, the ladies take matters into their own hands with the gripping conclusion to the Bletchley Circle, here in half an hour.